Just ahead on American Black Journal, racial tension erupts on college campuses across the nation after numerous reports of racist incidents. We're going to hear how the University of Michigan is taking preventative steps to address diversity issues on its campus. Plus, we'll tell you about a Black Friday shopping experience that will support black businesses. American Black Journal starts right now.
At DTE Energy, we believe that we have a greater responsibility. We believe that being part of a community means being involved in the fabric of that community, investing time, effort, and resources in the communities we serve. DTE Energy Foundation is a proud sponsor of American Black Journal.
Welcome to American Black Journal. I'm Stephen Henderson. In recent weeks, we've heard the cry of racism echo on college campuses across the country. The protests were ignited after racist incidents at the University of Missouri forced the resignation of the school's president and chancellor. The two administrators were under fire because they didn't appropriately handle reports of racial abuse on their campus. And now students at other colleges are demanding their schools do more to prevent racism and discrimination. Locally, the University of Michigan is stepping out front of the issue by creating a comprehensive plan to address diversity concerns and promote racial equity and inclusion on its campus. Joining me now to talk about these efforts is U of M Vice Provost Robert Sellers. Welcome to American Black Journal.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, Steve.
So we should start by talking about some common history that we share. I was a student at the University of Michigan in the late 1980s and early 1990s. You were a graduate student in about the same time frame.
Absolutely.
And so we both can remember what campus was like then. There were more minority students back then than there are now. In fact, I believe that was the peak number of minority students in campus in that time frame. And there was a lot of tension on campus. In 1987, black students took over the president's office and demanded that the campus do more to deal with the racist incidents that had happened, to deal more with the environment on campus and inclusion. Jesse Jackson came and helped broker some of those agreements. 20 years later, well, maybe 25 years later, we're sort of seeing a resurgence of that kind of discussion on campuses that look really different now than they did then.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And one of the things that's interesting is that while 25 years ago we were battling these same issues as students and having similar kinds of or similar levels of activism, I think some of the issues have changed a bit. Mm-hmm. If you listen nationally in terms of a lot of the experiences that the students are talking about now, they are really focusing on climate level issues, while there is some focus also in terms of increasing the critical mass of students. A lot of the individual conversations when you talk to students really center around feelings of belonging and a sense that the broader university campus is not a place that is particularly welcoming to.
Yeah, yeah.
While there was clearly some of that discussion back again when we were students there was also, I think, a bit more of a focus on some of the structural changes that need to play out. And in some ways, I think it's important both to recognize the fact that there's a long history with respect to many of the events that we're seeing today, but not to fall into the trap of thinking that we're basically back at
in the same place, right? Things are different.
Absolutely.
The students themselves
are
really different than kids were back then, and the campuses are different. And a school like University of Michigan handles these things in really different ways.
Absolutely.
Partially because of the law.
Well,
we have a law in Michigan that really handcuffs a lot of the things that you might be able to do.
So we are very much handcuffed by Prop 2 and some of the things that we want to do. Another thing that is different, or at least what we've hope is different at the University of Michigan from now to then, is that we're trying to be proactive in this process, and proactive not in the sense that we want to head off any potential student unrest, but proactive in the sense that we understand that having a diverse student body, a diverse faculty, a diverse staff is key to our ability to achieve academic excellence.
Yeah.
That we need as many different perspectives as possible to be able to challenge the very serious problems that we face as a society today, and also to do the very best artwork, best work in the humanities, et cetera. Multiple perspectives are needed. And so as we're attempting to make this progress, we're doing so in a way that is mission central. That this is not just
It's not some offshoot. It's not a one-off.
Absolutely. Our goal is to institutionalize the work that we're doing. It builds on previous work that's been done in the past. Definitely builds on student input, and the students bring energy to the efforts that we're doing. But we also want to be very clear, our goal is not simply to appease students. Our goal is to make the University of Michigan the best university that we possibly can do, and we cannot do that without being more
inclusive, sure.
and more inclusive and more equitable.
Yeah. What do you hear from students on campus, black students, other students, about that racial atmosphere? Last year we saw a really interesting, I thought, campaign on Twitter, Being Black at U of M, where black students were talking about some of the isolation that they feel because of the lower numbers on campus, and some of the climate issues in terms of how the school is welcoming or not. What are the things that you hear students tell you that they're concerned about?
So they're very similar to what you've laid out. There's sometimes a sense that the university as a whole, as a community as a whole, may not be sending as welcoming messages as we should be, that they're also suffering from being in a situation where they're very different from many of the other students, faculty, and staff that are there. And so you have a sense of culture clash. And within that is the feeling that there may be negative stereotypes and impressions that are being placed upon them. At the same point in time, like everywhere in society, we also have a very, what I hope to be a small number of individuals in our community who engage in active discriminatory actions, which we need to make sure that we deal with as a university. But the other part of that is that we also have to make sure that all students, and for that matter, all faculty and all staff, have the skills to interact with folks who are coming from very different backgrounds and experiences. And I believe our students of color are particularly attuned to those experiences. And in some ways, another way in which they're, I think, a little different from our generation is that our generation sort of came into universities and settings like this with the assumption that we're probably not going to be treated well. So
it's probably not going to be fair.
It's not going to be fair. So there was no expectation of fairness. There was not necessarily an expectation that folks were going to interact with you in a particularly positive way. And that was both helpful given the kinds of de jure, in-the-face kinds of discrimination that we actually experienced.
That still was around.
That was still, it absolutely was still around, and it was based, that kind of preparation was based on the kinds of messages that our parents had given us to go through there. Now, this generation is actually calling us on our promises of equality and our promises of equity. So when we recruit students, we say, come to Michigan. It's a place that you'll have an opportunity to be treated fairly, to interact with people from different places, to be respected, et cetera.
Yeah.
And the students are demanding
want you to make good
that
on
we
it.
want to make good on
Yeah.
it. And in the same way that most, or actually all students, have that assumption
Have
when
that
they go off to
expectation,
school.
sure.
Now you're seeing students of color and other marginalized students saying, hey, we deserve
What
exactly
about
that
us?
same thing.
Sure.
So,
One of the things that President Schlissel said in his inaugural address was about, he talked a lot about diversity. He also talked about the need for tolerance, viewpoint tolerance. And sometimes we see those two things fight with each other, right?
Right,
How, you know, if I don't like somebody because of their skin color or their cultural background, don't I have a right to say that? Don't I have a right to express that on campus? And that conflicts with, hey, we're trying to create a place where everybody feels welcome. Do you feel like that's one of the tensions you have to navigate?
Well, it's definitely a tension that we have to navigate, but I do sort of see it as a false dichotomy. So on the one hand, I would never argue against the right for free speech. At the same point in time, that right for free speech doesn't mean that there aren't consequences for what you've said.
Right.
So just because you have the right doesn't necessarily mean that it's right.
Yeah.
And so there are ways in which, if your intent is to demean or to do violence to someone, then that's problematic.
Right. We've got to deal with that.
We've got to deal with that.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there often are lots of situations where, because we as various communities coming together for the first time at a college campus, often say things more out of ignorance that can be painful to some and not necessarily painful to others,
Yeah.
and we just don't know. And so part of our job as a university is to begin to think about ways to provide folks with the tools to be able to engage across difference.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that we all have to agree. In fact, if we all agree, then that undermines the
That's
whole
no
notion
good
of
either,
diversity.
right, yeah.
And it's an anathema to a university.
Yeah.
But we have to be able to interact. We have to be able to talk across those differences in an atmosphere in which there's mutual respect and there's a mutual sense that we have something to learn from each other.
Sure. We've got just a few minutes left in the segment. I'm wondering about some of the specific things that you guys are planning to try to meet this stuff before it happens.
So I think one of the biggest things that we're doing is this diversity strategic planning process. So this diversity strategic planning process is one that is comprehensive. So it is distributed such that all of the schools and colleges, all of the units at the university are all developing plans that are related to their units, that are related to the issues that
The particular issues.
the particular issues in their area and their units. And it focuses on issues across faculty, students, staff, and other constituents. So if you're in the health services, that also includes patients and other communities. And so those plans will reside and live at the unit level. We have faculty, students, and staff all involved in the process of developing those plans, so it's not a top-down plan. Those plans then bubble up to 4 areas, including academic affairs, the health system, staff, focus plans, and student life plans. Yeah. We will create a plan to support those other plans, and then that bubbles up to a university plan, and that university plan will be in support of the others. The importance of this process is that this now makes this a university commitment. It's not the president's job to make this university more inclusive and more equitable. It's all of our job. And that's the only way that it can happen. There is no magic wand in any administration that can be waved by the president to make the difference. But the only way the difference can happen is if everyone is involved, everyone is responsible, and everyone is held accountable.
And feels like they have a part in
Exactly,
it. Yeah.
exactly. We want to create a greater sense of agency and a greater sense of efficacy with respect to everyone in the university. We will have very specific metrics, very specific timetable. We will consistently evaluate where we are and create new best practices from what we learn and come up with new things that we don't learn.
So the accountability that the students are looking for is going to be built in.
The accountability is definitely built in.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for being here, and good luck.
It is my pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Coming up on American Black Journal, a new twist on Black Friday shopping that's going to benefit minority-owned businesses. That's next, right after this look at some important moments in Detroit's Black history.
I'm Ken Coleman with a look back at African American life in Detroit. This week in 1962, Dick Night Train Lane helped the Detroit Lions defeat the Green Bay Packers on Thanksgiving Day at Tiger Stadium. In 1904, charismatic cult leader Prophet Jones was born in Birmingham, Alabama. And in 1977, boxer Thomas Hearns scored his first professional win at Olympia Stadium. These are significant events this week in Detroit's Black history, taken from the book On This Day, African American Life in Detroit.
This Friday after Thanksgiving will be a true Black Friday shopping experience for people taking part in the blackout on the Avenue. Of course, I'm talking about Livernois Avenue, also known as the Avenue of Fashion. Organizers of the event are encouraging shoppers to spend their holiday money at minority-owned businesses in the Detroit neighborhood. The vendors will offer a range of items, including clothing, shoes, art, and athletic wear. The admission price includes food, drinks, live entertainment, a cigar lounge, and a meet and greet with business owners. Here to tell us more about the event is one of the organizers, Danielle Sanders, along with Kelly McBride from Crave Detroit, which is catering the event. Welcome to American Black Journal.
Thank you very much.
It seems like every time I turn around, I hear something new about the Avenue of Fashion, about 6 Mile in Livernois with the Live 6 program. This really is an area of the city that is looking up anyway in terms of the efforts that are being put in to revitalizing it. This is just another example of a way to sort of draw attention to it and focus on what's going on there.
Absolutely, Stephen. I'm a resident of the University District.
Okay, so you live right next door.
I live right next door, right around the block.
Right.
So it only behooves me to make sure that my community is being positively impacted.
Yeah.
As the Avenue of Fashion goes, as my neighborhood goes, as the city goes.
Sure.
So last year, due to everything that was happening in the United States with Ferguson and the people being asked to boycott Black Friday, I said, well, I'm not really on board completely with that because that does not benefit.
That doesn't help the businesses
that does not
need
help
your money.
business at all.
Yeah.
And many of the retailers on the Avenue of Fashion are residents in the community.
Yeah.
So that does not benefit us at all.
Yeah, so this is a way to sort of turn that on its head and say, well, why don't we focus on Black Friday being about trying to get money for the businesses that are owned by the people who live in the community.
Absolutely. As you know, our dollars don't recirculate in our community the way they should.
Yeah.
This is a step that we are taking in the right direction of recirculating our dollars in the community. So what better way to do it than have a fun, family-friendly atmosphere to recirculate those dollars and bring that money into the community, bring that money to my neighbors, bring that money to my city.
Right. And Kelly, you are one of the businesses that is going to be involved in this and catering the event, which is a good role for you.
Yes, it is. Bring a lot of exposure, and like she said, I live in the community as well.
Yeah.
So it's good just to bring back to our community, and we want to shop minority business in that area. So.
Yeah. Talk to me about what you see going on in the area right now. How is it changing from the perspective of a business owner?
Well, we're getting a lot of more people from other areas also. You have people coming from Royal Oak and everywhere else just to that area, which I think is very good.
Yeah.
And more people in the community didn't shop as much in their own community, and they're doing that now. So I
you're
think
getting,
it's very well.
and so it's not just becoming a local retail district. It's just a retail district for the region.
Exactly.
Yeah. Talk about some of the other businesses that are up and down the Avenue of Fashion right now. Every time, like I said, every time I go back over there, I feel like there's something new.
Absolutely. They have very unique businesses in the area. We have Art in Motion. She's not only a pottery store, but you're able to take classes, learn how to do pottery. They have painting, pottering classes, things of that nature. You have Designed, which is a children's store. She designs all the children's wear in the store as well. You have Green Bliss, which is environmentally friendly products that she sells there. You have Simply Casual, that has been there forever, which sells men's and women's clothes in the area. You have the 1917 Bistro, who has been there and has sustained for this amount of time, and we continue to support him. You also have various lady stores. Most importantly, recently in the last year or so, we have G. Granston Bullard. He is a leather and furrier.
Yeah.
He has been all over the country. He's worked in Chicago, Montreal, places like that. He's right there on the Avenue of Fashion.
Yeah.
So if you're in need of leathers and furs, or you want to repurpose your current leathers and furs, he can custom design you something.
Yeah, well, and that's great timing, right? Those are Christmas gifts on lots of people's lists.
Absolutely, and I'll let my husband know that's on my Christmas list.
So he can go down there on Black Friday and take care of that, right?
Absolutely, he doesn't have to go far.
Right. Talk about some of the live entertainment that we're going to have.
Live entertainment, we will have a DJ Emmett Burks, who is also a resident of the city of Detroit. He will be in the pop-up shop. That will be our main reception area there on Livernois, which is right next door to 1917 and Simply Casual. We will also have jazz down at the Joe's Gallery Cafe, and chess as well. So we will have things for the adults as well as for children. We will have a game truck that will be there. So it's really a festive environment, bringing music and fun. We want the same experience people have had in Birmingham and Royal Oak. There's no reason for that not to be on the Avenue of Fashion.
You should not have to go out to the suburbs to find that kind of thing.
Absolutely. We want to have those type of things right there on the Avenue. Retail is picking up. We have restaurants, we have shops. And one thing that Kelly and I noticed last year when we did it for the first time, many of our friends and family that we brought with us had never walked the Avenue of Fashion.
Is that right? Wow.
Absolutely. So that encouraged us. We said, okay, this cannot be a one-time thing. We have to make this an annual thing.
Yeah. So what's on the menu for Black Friday?
Actually, I'm going to do an array of comfort foods for this particular event.
Yeah.
And try to do the foods around this time of year and be festive with it.
Yeah, all right. So sweet potato pie, I'm hoping will be on the menu. It's one of my
I will
favorites.
make sure just for you.
Just for you.
Just for me.
I'll make sure it's on the menu.
Absolutely. We will definitely expect you, and we will definitely make
Right,
sure to have some sweet
right.
potato pie and not patties.
Yeah,
Right.
and is this just, that's right, not patties.
With local.
Thank you. Is this going to go on past Friday, or are we really just focusing on that Black Friday crowd?
We are really focusing on Friday to have people out and to show what our dollars can do on that particular day. That is a measurable. This is a measurable event. So we are focusing on Friday. However, the stores are open on Saturday as well. We do not want to discourage anyone from coming out Saturday if you're not able to make it Friday. But our event is on Friday from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. on the Avenue of Fashion. If they are interested in tickets, they can go to Eventbrite to get online tickets, or they can call 313-962-0099.
Oh, very good. I wonder, are you starting to hear from people from other places who are hearing about what's going on the Avenue of Fashion and saying, hey, you know what, I have a business somewhere else, but I want to be part of this particular district?
Absolutely, enormously. We constantly are asked, well, do they have any more space?
Is there space, right?
Right, is there space? What's for sale? What's for rent? Things of that nature. So people from all over, we have been spreading the word via social media. So we've had friends and family across the United States saying, hey, I want to come and check this out. Is this the new part of Detroit that we want to be? And I said, absolutely.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you feel like the district needs from the city or from state government that will help grow this? I mean, the difference, again, if you just go back a year or two, is really, really remarkable. It has happened sort of organically, I feel like. People are just sort of deciding that this should happen. Do you feel like there are barriers that we still have to knock down to build up the area?
Well, I think we were a little late on getting some lights, so
Yeah.
I am very appreciative
right.
now
They
recently
were late
that they
on
have
that.
finally installed the lights. I think
new
that
lights,
the new lights,
right.
absolutely. I think that was a great barrier from people coming in. We now have the new parking system that is in place, which I think is very beneficial.
Do people like that?
I
I
do.
don't.
I'm an app person, so that
Okay.
works for
Okay,
me.
that works for you.
So it seems to be working so far. I haven't
Yeah.
received a ticket.
You're not
so-
getting tickets, that matters, right?
Absolutely. We are appreciative of the irrigation system that has now gone into the island.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I would like to see more is just more of a police presence,
Yeah.
police neighborhood presence. So even if they're on bicycles or even horseback sometimes, I think that would just benefit the community greatly.
Makes it
to
feel safer.
make it feel safe, because everyone knows with the transition that's taken place downtown and in Midtown, that's one of the first things they feel safe, so they continue to come.
All right. Well, we will see you guys next Friday on Black Friday. On
Absolutely.
The Avenue of Fashion.
Absolutely. We will be there.
Yeah, and thanks very much for being here.
Thank you for having
Yeah.
us.
That's our program for today. Thanks for watching. You can get more information about our guests at AmericanBlackJournal.org. And as always, you can connect with us on Facebook and on Twitter. Plus, you can hear our program on WDET 1019 FM. We'll see you next time.
At DTE Energy, we believe that we have a greater responsibility. We believe that being part of a community means being involved in the fabric of that community, investing time, effort, and resources in the communities we serve. DTE Energy Foundation is a proud sponsor of American Black Journal.